Hey, listeners, I'm so excited to have a repeat guest back on the podcast and talking about a new project. So we have with us Chela Gage. Chela's done a bunch of corporate DEI roles at big brand companies and has now launched her own business focused on HR consulting and executive coaching and is here to talk about her new nonprofit, which I'm so excited about. She's also a podcast host. Taylor's just amazing. Taylor, welcome back.
Julie, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It must mean that we're okay to have these conversations if I'm a repeat guest, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
cool.
And you might win like a three-time guest, always dropping amazing knowledge. So, listeners, if you haven't checked out past episodes, definitely go back to those. But we have a whole different subject today. Not so much corporate DEI, but your new nonprofit that you've launched. So, I'd love, Taylor, tell our listeners about your new venture, like why you started it, like all the good things.
Yeah. So let me give just a little bit of background. My corporate experience is about 25 years deep, and I've worked for companies like Nissan, Raytheon, JDSU, and Cupertino. I just ended my role as Chief Diversity Officer for Starbucks. And throughout all of that, over the past 25 years, what has given me like passion and joy has been connecting my work with my personal background. And so personally, I grew up in foster care. Between the age of 7 to 17, I lived in six different homes and in four different group homes. Pretty traumatic. I moved around every 10 months or so. And it was pretty disruptive because my birth mother lives with schizophrenia. And so there were times where the system thought she was appropriate to take us back. So we would go back and live with her, and then she wouldn't take her medicine, and we would go back into the system. And throughout my experience in foster care, living in different homes, being with different families, I've had to be a chameleon. And
Mhm.
that chameleon, like, it's also helped me in my career. There's also, I've, with all the negatives or the stigma with being a foster youth, what I know is the independence that I was taught, the resilience that I formed helped create the person that I am today. But also with that, I'm not the person I am without the experiences that have helped shape me as well. And so I have leaders who really invested in me and kind of like mentored me throughout my career. And that mentorship has meant more to me than anything because growing up in foster care, it's not like I knew what corporate America, nobody said, here's how you accept feedback from your leader.
Yeah.
Or no one said, um, here's what happens in a layoff. Or, like you just, that
How to
talk
manage
doesn't,
change and uncertainty.
yeah, that doesn't happen. And so these mentors helped me maneuver life as an adult. And it somehow connected my resiliency in foster youth with my career in HR. And so recently, after ending my role at Starbucks, I wanted to really make an impact in the world because at Starbucks, it was 430,000 employees. And I thought, if I could impact 430,000, like the ripple effect of that is what brings me joy.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to launch something that felt that I felt personally connected to and qualified to be in the space. And so I've launched 1 Million Fosters, and it is my initiative to meet, mentor, and build community with adults who've experienced foster care as youth.
That's so cool. That's so cool. What I love about the name is the impact is right inside it. So tell us more about the impact you hope to create and how you landed on that.
Yes. So in the United States, at any point, and the data goes back from 2005, it like there's anywhere between 350,000 to 300,000 individuals in foster care. And so our mission is to empower adults who experience foster care by providing transformative life and career coaching,
Mm,
fostering personal growth, independence, and long-term well-being. I envision a world where every former foster youth thrives with confidence, support, and opportunity, equipped to lead empowered, fulfilling lives. My purpose is to build a strong community for former foster youth by offering coaching and guidance and connecting them, helping them navigate adulthood and live their fullest potential. I
mhm,
believe I know for a fact that growing up in foster care, like there's this stigma that, well, let me speak from experience. I had the personal shame that
mhm,
no one loved me enough to seek me out and care for me as an individual. I was provided by the state, I was provided places to live and food, maybe not the most emotional support. And transitioning into adulthood was really difficult. And I see that as I work with former fosters today, there's so much connectedness that we have in our experiences. I believe that 1 million fosters can be kind of like a fraternity or sorority of sorts, right? Like, I want us all to opt in and for us to be a community that supports each other. For example, business owners that are hiring for talent. If you're a former foster, business owner, nonprofit leader, I want you to come to 1 million fosters first and see what talent do we have that can help your organization. And I'm not charging for that. I'm just providing the resumes and the resources. I want to connect and be the bridge that helps people get from where they are to where they want to be.
how did you decide on the 1 million part?
Yes. So there's this organization that has helped me see the power of my voice, and they're called the Million Person Project. I did training with them on how to tell my story, and I didn't get this training until I was deep in my 30s. And I realized that their goal of touching 1 million people was exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to touch 1 million people, and I want that to go beyond me because it's like there's so much greatness in community. And so I believe the numbers are there. And if we even look at it globally, someone was telling me, Che, you're going to hit 1 million like soon. I know because there's so many of us who've had this experience and don't know how to share it in a way
Mhm.
that allows us ownership of our story. And so I also want people to feel like they are a part of a community. So the 1 million kind of attaches onto that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. I love that. And I think what I love most about your story, as I always do, is just your courage and your confidence and your conviction in everything you do. And I think right now, when the world is, it's hard, like there's so much chaos and just so much uncertainty and quite frankly, hatred. And you've chosen this time to launch something purposeful. And I think what our listeners, readers can learn from is just, even though it never feels like the right time, right, to start a
Yeah.
nonprofit or do something like this, but the world really needs this kind of work now. And so I'm curious, kind of if you could give us a maybe behind the scenes look into how do you take this from like an idea to like all the way to a 501(c)(3).
Yeah, yeah. So I have I guess something about me is I started my career as an executive recruiter. And as a recruiter, you seek out the best skilled individuals for their niche, right? And so over the past 25 years, I've garnered a board of people who I call on for advice and for counsel. And at the beginning of the year in January, as we transitioned from one presidential administration to the next, and the shift in diversity, equity, and inclusion is real. Like it's a
Hmm.
shift. I was trying to figure out, I was trying to keep my balance in the world and trying to figure out how can I continue to make an impact even if we change how we do diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if I make an impact, how do I do this? And so my board of advisors recommended that I dig into what makes me me, what makes me unique, and what makes me qualified. And the all of the conversations that I've ever had with former fosters, we talk about it kind of like under our breath. It's kind of like, shh, yeah, I was in foster care too. But I want us to say it like, I want us to beat our chest and I want us to say it loud and proud. And so my advisors were like, Che, if you have a hard time saying it, how do you feel? How do you think people who may not have the training, the resources, the skills that you've developed, how can they say it? And so my want is to put this lived experience in a format, a framework that allows other people to do the same thing. What I realized is during VUCA, because we're VUCA right now, and during VUCA times, for me, I lean on community.
Mhm.
And what I realized was if I need this, if I need this, I'm not the only one. There are others that need this too. And I had a conversation with a gentleman, my first podcast interview. And this is where I know I was doing it right. And I can't wait for the world to hear this podcast. When I started 1 Million Fosters, I didn't think I was going to start it as a 501(c)(3). I just wanted to capture the voices and the stories of those who experienced foster care because there's so much power and resiliency and so much learning for those who haven't experienced foster care. You can listen to the stories of those who have and be inspired. So I wanted to share that inspiration. After my first podcast interview, the gentleman said, "Thank you for this conversation. I didn't realize how much I needed to talk this through, and I don't hear our stories very often." Julie, like
Yeah.
that gives me goosebumps, and it's what I go to bed with every night. That if he felt empowered by speaking, imagine the empowerment people will hear by hearing. And
Mhm.
so his words and the voice of my counsel kind of like merged into one of saying there's a greater need in in the world for people to hear and have this story.
Mhm.
Starting a 501(c)(3) is not easy. I did so much like Googling and talking, and I sit on the board of a nonprofit organization called One Mind, and they help destigmatize brain health. They've been in business for 30 years as a nonprofit and are still figuring things out. And I'm a part of a board that has about 19 people on it, talented. So when I thought of how can I start a board? Like, who do I go to? What do I
Mhm.
do? It was overwhelming. But what I realized was important, that advisory council that I had, why not go to them? Ask them, like utilize their skills and their niches to help create your board. And then the paperwork for a 501c. There are so many organizations out there that will help you for free get your
Mhm.
501c3 because nonprofits really do add value to the community, to the impacted and underserved. And I thought if I want to make an impact, actually someone challenged me and said, and oh, I love a challenge, Julie. Like, don't tell me I can't do something.
Oh, I
And
know. I know that's like fuel for
right,
you.
woo, it's power. So someone said I wasn't doing it because it was too hard. Ah, that wasn't it. Let me show you what I can
Mhm.
do. And so that gave me that fueled my want to make a nonprofit that was for the individuals that I am serving.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And you're right. There's nothing easy about starting a 501(c). As someone that's done it myself, but it's so purposeful. Like especially right now when we need some grounding to center on. And with all the DEI pushback, it seems super smart to focus on like a lived experience, like you experienced foster care, and that could happen to all races, genders, right? Like it's a very diverse group that it affects. And of course, historically marginalized groups more so. So it just
Yes.
feels like deeply connected to the corporate work you've been doing. And to your point about like the boards you've been and organizations you've been a part of, you've kind of been a student, and so you get
Yes.
to learn and through doing, they can take those lessons learned over to your own nonprofit.
Yes.
Kayla, as you think about 1 million fosters and it's kind of just revving up right now, like what do you envision in the future? Like what are the kind of projects, kind of impacts you're hoping to create?
Yes. So our key concept is coaching and using their resilience to help them see how they can get unstuck, get from where they are to where they want to be it transitioning into adulthood, be it transitioning to an executive career. Um, right now, the fosters that I'm working with age and range in age from 18 to 42. So there's around the gamut. What I see in the next 6 months to a year, I see us creating this community where it's not all on Chela. I'm coaching, but they're reaching out to each other for support. My network, when I reached out to my network, be it personal or social on LinkedIn, and I said, here's what I'm doing, the 1 million fosters, so many people from my network raised their hands and said, Che, this is so good. How can I help? How can I help? And so I'm going to lean on my network to create masterclasses and use their niches to be SMEs in something that benefits those who are part of the Million Foster community, be it resume writing or learning how to tell your story or or transitioning into parenthood. So I see that happening over the next 6 months to a year. What I see as success with corporate sponsorship, I see us being a database of talent for corporate sponsors. And look, imagine if you're an organization, and I imagine retail, because a lot of us graduate at the age of 18, and retail is an amazing, avenue to build your career. It's entry level. So I imagine retailers coming to 1 million fosters and saying, hey, we've got 4 positions open in Colorado, 3 in Texas, and here we are providing our resumes as resources because the skill set of being a foster is so unique to that individual And there's so much there. There's independence, there's resiliency, there's strength, there's confidence, there's there's leaning on community, there's collaboration, there's being a chameleon. And all of this can be used in the positive when you are an employee. And then imagine as an employer, coming to 1 Million Fosters, getting talent that is not only ready to work, but they've also been coached by a professional coach. So they've taken their learning of being coached and then combined it with their lived experience to bring so much more value as an employee. Like, that just gives me goosebumps.
I love it. I love it. Your energy is always contagious, but it's especially so for this cause. And I agree. I mean, it's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of programs that are focused on like neurodivergence in the workplace because we know
Yes.
the unemployment rate is extremely high for folks with autism, like 85%, for example. Veterans also don't usually have the same employment numbers that other groups do. And whether, we like it or not, there will be a labor shortage here in short order, as you know, and we're going to have to get a lot more creative about how we employ people. And this seems like another underserved audience that this is a win-win, right? All these like
Yes.
amazing strengths that we can be tapped into, coached, like prepped for, and so that, everyone in society can get the benefits of that. Like it just feels very holistic. So kudos to you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. Well, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you and follow 1 Million Fosters.
So if you Google 1 Million Fosters today, it'll take you to two places. There's our landing page for my business, Ollie Strategies, and Ollie stands for Own Lead Impact, OLI Strategies. And then the second, it will take you to our YouTube channel. So our podcast is going to be a video podcast. And what I love about that is we're no longer hiding. We are not in the dark. I am very confident in showing up as my true self. And I want others to join me showing up as their true selves too. So not only do you get to hear the impactful stories, but you get to see them be inspired or see them struggle through sharing their personal stories. And yes, so if you Google 1 Million Fosters, you'll find me.
I love that. I love it. Yes, getting things out into the open and talking about our stories. It's so liberating, not just for the people sharing their stories, but for all the people hearing those stories, right? It
It's
feels so
inspiration.
cool. Yeah, it's such
Hope.
a cool idea. Very cool. Taylor, thanks so much for the amazing work you do and just for having like such positive energy in a sometimes challenging world. I just always enjoy chatting with you because I always learn something new. And I always get like this extra positive feeling from you. It's just contagious. So I know you're going to have a huge impact with 1 Million Fosters and everything else you do.
I'm so grateful to have you, Julie. Thank you for being in my community.
Same, same. Thanks for being a great ally.